Chapter 18 3-year-old couple 2. Ah. This woman, Hwang Tae-kyung, who was clearly sitting beside her, angrily raised his hand high, wanting to wake the person up. He did the action from top to bottom many times, but in the end he still couldn't capture her. He angrily withdrew his hand. How could there be such an unguarded woman? I have a good rest, fraudster, even lied to mom, fraudster. Ah? Are you a pig? Can sleep in a second? Hwang Tae-kyung was angry and pouted, imitating her's phone call. He grumbled for a while, then found that the other party was sleeping soundly, and suddenly became even more angry. He turned around and leaned against the sofa, closing his eyes. Turn a blind eye. Not knowing whether sleep would also be contagious, slowly, the two people in the room were all immersed in sweet dreams. Outside, Yoo-hee's agent felt like it was going to be a disaster. After the filming ended, she left without a word. The agent in the lounge said he had never seen her before. She didn't dare to provoke Hwang Tae-kyung. There was no one in the parking lot. She couldn't find her own artist. Estimated that just after filming the promotional film, the sound was still not adjusted, called more than 10 times but no one answered, searched the entire filming site, could not find anyone, but found an entertainment reporter who had been following the longest. The other party went up and asked Yoo-hee what was the relationship with Angel Hwang Tae-kyung. Also not aware. At most heard Yoo-hee has always really liked this combination, but this has never been public. How would this paparazzi know? With great difficulty, she managed to get the person to leave, but where is this girl? The agent was so angry that she wanted to find her and beat her up immediately. This girl is getting more and more reckless these days. Nan Hoa was awakened by an exaggerated voice. Following the original owner's habit, she got out of bed with a bit of anger. She slightly pouted and rubbed her eyes as she sat up straight, only to find two more unfamiliar men. Scared to the point of being startled and suddenly sobered up, "Who are you?" The middle-aged man who was dragging the door shouted exaggeratedly, "What a national fairy, Yoo-hee, eh? Too much. It's actually really here." Hwang Tae-kyung was also awakened, getting out of bed, his face turned black as he said, "You came to my break room and you still ask who we are?" Nan Hoa was stunned. "Ah?" The middle-aged man covered his chest with his hands. "Ah, stupid looks is also so cute." Hwang Tae-kyung couldn't stand it and rolled his eyes. Nan Hoa's memory returned, recognized who was in front of her, looked around. This was really a rest room. At that time the organizer said the welfare facility's conditions were not good, only gave one rest room. Your resting room? It doesn't seem like it is? If I remember correctly, this should also be my resting room, right, senior? Ma That Truong nodded continuously. That's right, that's right. The organizer said that the two artists will temporarily accept a rest room. Hwang Tae-kyung's complexion wasn't very good, he was a little embarrassed, and was sold out by his agent without hesitation, making him a little angry. He coldly opened his mouth, "Even if that's the case. You swindler, not only will you deceive people, your eyesight isn't very good either. Can't you see that there are people here? Aren't you on guard?" Nan Hoa looked at him in confusion. She hadn't done anything yet. How could he label her as the #1 swindler and say that her eyesight wasn't good? It's really not the original owner's fault. This Big Head Hwang is really too hateful. Big Head Hwang, you wouldn't lie to me? Haven't you lied to me before? How come you didn't say anything when I first entered? Only now did you say anything? Big Head Hwang. You wouldn't have any intentions, saying that. Nan Hoa deliberately pretended to be nervous and went outside to sit. Hwang Tae-kyung was furious. When she first entered, he was also stunned, thinking what kind of fans. Then he saw her with a tired face and still calling her mother. He was momentarily speechless. He couldn't believe that his kindness wasn't reciprocated, and was even scolded. This woman, you get out of here." Nan Hoa raised her chin and hummed, "I won't go out. This is my resting room, right? Ma That Truong?" Ma That Truong naturally nodded continuously. Yes, yes, yes. This is Miss Yoo-hee's resting room. Miss Yoo-hee can stay here forever." Hwang Tae-kyung was so angry. "Ma That Truong, who are you as a representative? Ma that smiled charmingly and comforted Huang Taekyung. "Ah, no need to be so petty, Miss Yuhi is a woman, you want to be a gentleman, a gentleman." Nan Hoa looked at Huang Taekyung's expression, which was about to die of anger, and felt very good. The commotion here brought over Nan Hoa's agent. Seeing her furious expression, Nan Hoa immediately obediently greeted her and went out. Huang Taekyung looked between the two of them, smiling happily at the other's misfortune. "Aren't you speechless?" Nan Hoa took advantage of the moment when the agents were chatting, giving him a noble and cold look of disdain, and muttered, big head, don't worry about the rain, others have an umbrella, Huang Taekyung has a big head." After chanting, she immediately pulled the agent and left arrogantly, leaving behind the angry frog-like Huang Taekyung. Angering her agent ended in a tragic end. Nan Hoa sat in her living room, listening to at least 3 hours of artists cultivate themselves, while saliva flew everywhere. She didn't even dare to wipe it away. However, in the end, from nothing to something, and growing up together as friends, the agent's sister finally let her go, giving her 3 days to return home. Warning her not to appear slovenly outside, not to reveal her true nature outside the home, and not to contact Huang Taekyung without permission. The last one. Nan Hoa was speechless. Was she thinking too much? The 3 days home were the most relaxing 3 days in her memory these past few years. Nan Hoa, under her parents' heartbroken gazes, fiercely made up for her lack of sleep, then ate her fill of delicious food, and finally returned to the company in high spirits. The agent and boss saw that she was full of spirit and were very satisfied with the decision she had made to give Yuhi. Just like that, Nan Hoa's work was still very light, except for a few visits. She was preparing for a grand music awards ceremony. Music awards on the same day. Nan Hoa brought a few staff to the hotel's main gate. Just as they got out of the car, they saw 4 handsome men with different styles walking towards them. Surrounded by the eyes of the infatuated people, Nan Hoa covered her head with a headache. This is such a cruel fate. I ran into him again. Of course, she couldn't avoid arguing with Huang Taekyung, but Jeremy excitedly ran over and said he was her fan. Jeremy was sunny and generous, and he took the lead in releasing goodwill. Nan Hoa naturally wouldn't be cold towards others. Moreover, in order to make someone realize that he was the only one who was hated, Nan Hoa became even friendlier towards Jeremy. The two of them chatted happily all the way to the hotel. Huang Taekyung was naturally angry. The whole time he pursed his lips, pouted, had a dark face, and called Jeremy several times, but the other party just politely ignored him. Nan Hoa quickly burst out laughing. Kong Shinwoo was standing beside watching, looking amused. During this period of time, Yuhi's memory and Nan Hoa's soul had completely merged, and she continued to practice. Nan Hoa's red carpet and performance were perfect. In the end, the agent gave her a hug, and quickly ran to make her makeup up, preparing for the interview later. The interview ended, the entire hall was in chaos. The agent received a phone call. No one knew where she went to make the call. The assistant and she were not on good terms. Nan Hoa also could not find her. There was no other way, she could only be like a headless fly in the complicated backstage corridor looking for her dressing room. As they walked further and further away, Nan Hoa heard a series of footsteps. Before she could move, she was immediately bumped into by the other party. The other party seemed to be avoiding something, threw down a sari, and wanted to run away. Nan Hoa looked at the constantly flickering wall, and immediately knew that a group of reporters were coming. Her scalp went numb, and she grabbed Huang Taekyung, who had bumped into her, smiling without smiling. "Is there any trouble?" Huang Taekyung wanted to escape, but he couldn't imagine that this woman was small and thin, yet had such great strength. No matter how he tried, he couldn't escape. Nan Hoa snorted, "Big head Huang, I won't easily take the blame for you." Huang Taekyung was initially angry, but suddenly had some bad intentions, and smiled at her with ill intentions. "Fairy, then don't blame me." Before he finished speaking, he turned around and grabbed Nan Hoa and ran up. Nan Hoa struggled while being dragged away. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw a flash of light behind her, along with a male voice calling their names. Nan Hoa was frustrated. It was over. The representative's sister wanted to go crazy again. The twists and turns, the complex structure of the backstage show, Nan Hoa was dragged around without knowing it, until the other party confirmed that he was going to throw them away, then finally let her go and stopped. Nan Hoa originally planned to go and receive the interview, so she was wearing thin and high heels. She didn't know how she was dragged so far. When she stopped, she felt pain from her toes to her ankles. Angry to the point of throwing Huang Taekyung's hand, "Big head Huang, are you sick?" Huang Taekyung put his hands in his pockets and laughed evilly. "Who made you not let go of me? Also, I am your senior, what did you call me?" Nan Hoa had never seen such a shameless person. "The reporters followed you, and you wanted to throw trouble at me, so I refused to accept the trouble. Is that my fault?" Huang Taekyung imagined, it seemed like there was such a thing, embarrassedly touched his nose and didn't speak. Nan Hoa didn't want to pay attention to him, this mentally ill person, fixed her clothes a bit, tried her best to maintain her figure, and left arrogantly. Who knew, this backstage had 7 curves and 8 circles, the rehearsals were all led by staff. A single person completely had no idea where to go. Nan Hoa limped around a few circles alone, still couldn't find her dressing room. Now was the time for the show to end, except for the interview team, the others were probably all on the other side of the stage tidying up, several rooms were empty. Her feet hurt so much that she wanted to immediately take off her shoes, but this was the place, at any moment, a camera could run out. Nan Hoa really couldn't walk, her ankle was swollen, she only had a dress on her body, she didn't have any mobile phones, she was alone at the edge of the passage with no one around, she was so wrong that she almost cried. On the other side, Huang Taekyung, who was also lost, turned around countless times and suddenly saw a familiar figure. He was originally a bit excited, but after taking a closer look, it was still that fairy. After tidying up his already unsightly appearance, Huang Taekyung wanted to go up and taunt her. But he found that the other party was standing strangely. When he got closer, he discovered that the fairy's feet were swollen at the top, scaring him. Only then did he realize how high the other party was wearing high heels, and he had just dragged her away like crazy. The fairy used her arm to cover her eyes. Huang Taekyung thought she was crying and immediately didn't know what to do. "Hey." Nan Hoa heard the sound, calmed down her emotions and let go, her eyes were red, looking towards the person who came.